He said, stay where you are, under arrest. And that was it. Our life had ended.
Join us on the story of the silent twins, June and Jennifer Gibbons. Introduction. In April 1963, twin girls June and Jennifer Gibbons were born in a military hospital in Aden, Yemen. Two beautiful girls. Their early years were ordinary, but as they grew up, their parents noticed that they were different from other children. Raised in Wales by their Barbadian parents, the twins developed a unique bond and created a secret language, their own special language, which led to them being known as the Silent Twins. Now let's talk a little about this language. As June and Jennifer reached speaking age, it became clear that they had their own private language that no one else could understand, but they could. They were inseparable.
And she was one that was a bit worried about us.
And they're always shy, and they're not, not speaking. Well, they spoke, but we couldn't understand what they were saying. Yeah. So that's the trouble. And then when they knew that we couldn't understand, they went back in the shell,
They communicated between themselves. That was the thing with the twins, they could make signs. And if you ask one a question, say June, she have to look at Jenny before they communicate. That seemed to run in most twins, look at.
Growing up in Wales, the Gibbons family had moved to Great Britain from Barbados in the early 1960s, a very big difference in culture. Now, although the family spoke English at home, June and Jennifer spoke a sped-up version of Bajan Creole. Being the only Black children in the elementary school, the twins faced bullying, and this only made them more dependent upon one another. The bullying became so severe that the teachers allowed June and Jennifer to be excused 5 minutes early each day before the other children were released from school.
They were conscientious and well-behaved, but silent. This puzzled their teachers and enraged their peers, who bullied them so badly that they were let out of school 5 minutes early.
We felt we were different. We were twins, and we were a different colour. So they picked on us. We were like that. And we didn't speak to anybody. They got like extra strange. We didn't speak to anybody. And they kept saying, why don't they speak? Can they speak English? Why don't they talk? And the more they said that, the more we shut up.
Now let's talk about their therapy and their separation. In 1977, speech therapist Anne Chaharn met with June and Jennifer. Now, although they didn't speak to her directly, they did allow their conversations to be recorded. Chaharn sensed that June wanted to speak but felt a bit controlled by Jennifer. The decision was made to separate the twins and send them to different boarding schools, hoping that this could help them to individually develop. But would this separation make things better?
We tried it on the basis then of getting the girls to decide which of them was going to move. And it was the only bit of power that we ever had, in a way, that we put the decision back onto them. One of you's going away, you have to decide who it's to be. And that created a tremendous anger between the girls.
We said, well, I'm going to come often, you go. No, I'm not going to come often. You go and I go. You stay in Eastgate and I go to come often. Then the next day, I go to come often and you stay in Eastgate. Then the next day, let's both go to come often, let's both stay in Eastgate.
They were shouting at one another. And people couldn't believe it, because here you had the girls had been quiet, nothing coming through. And then you had this tremendous uproar and noise and violence towards one another. As Jennifer saying to June, you are Jennifer, you are Jennifer. And this is quite extraordinary. It gave us an insight into the relationship, which we...
A failed experiment. The separation was a failure. The twins became even more withdrawn and almost catatonic. When reunited, they communicated only by writing letters. They retreated to their bedroom, creating elaborate fantasies and sharing them with their younger sister, Rose. Eventually, they obtained a creative outlet. At 16, the twins took a mail-order writing course and began writing stories. Their only published story novel, The Pepsi Cola Addict, was about a teenager seduced by his teacher. However, their stories often centered on dark themes and crimes. Trouble with the law. As they reached 18, June and Jennifer experimented with drugs, alcohol, committing petty crimes, and escalating to arson. Much of this behavior had been influenced by two young American boys that became a part of their life. In 1981, they were arrested and placed in a maximum security hospital.
As the time went by, you had this feeling of a certain inevitability of what was going to happen, because they were being dealt with by an adult psychiatrist who would have had his own opinion about what the problem would have been. And then I felt that they were still children, really.
I think what I was seeing, in fact, was prodromal schizophrenia. That means that, in other words, they probably had their exacerbation of their behaviour disorder was in fact an early stage of a schizophrenic illness which hadn't yet become manifest and did become manifest a year or two later.
Spry, crisp and dry is what we labelled him. He came to see us about our lives and said, "Would you like to come to a hospital called Broadmoor?" He said, "Have you heard of Broadmoor?" No. He never heard of Broadmoor. We said, "No." "Well, do you want to go there?" "Yeah, I want to go there for a while." "But 3 years? See how you get on. If we get there, we can go then, get released." "Yeah, we'll go for 3 years. No more, just 3 years."
I see visions of Broadmoor on a warm, sunny May day. What will I be doing next year? Probably sitting outside on a lawn, sipping lemonade. Nurses in white walking around, lounging around, and I'd be free to sit there, perhaps sewing or knitting. Still young, but more mature, more communicative, more flexible.
The advice that had come back from the professionals was that these children were psychopathic arsonists, that they were dangerous, both to themselves and to the society at large. And this certainly didn't match up with my feelings in the matter at all. And the parents were unaware of what was going on and were happy to leave the matter in the hands of British justice, in which they had enormous faith.
The possibility of their going to prison would have been in their worst interest. They would have had a long prison sentence for the crimes that they had committed, and they would have gone to prison and been no better, had no treatment, and this would have left a situation in which they would have come out far worse than they would have gone in. I thought that they were in need of treatment. They had been in need of treatment, I thought, for 4 or 5 years before I saw them. Unfortunately, the only place that they could have treatment was in a secure environment.
Why Broadmoor?
That was the only hospital that would accept them.
Persuaded that Broadmoor was the answer to all their problems, the girls were happy to plead guilty to their crimes.
Jude, I think Gibbons, plead guilty or not guilty? And I said guilty. Jude, Jennifer Gibbons, plead guilty or not guilty? Guilty. Alright, therefore I put you in the care of Broadmoor Hospital, where you will stay until you get better. You will stay there indefinitely until you get better. We said, yeah, alright.
Dad turned to me and said, "What does indefinite period mean?" And I had to say, well, you know, they'll be there for a very, very long time. And I think it is at that stage that Mr. and Mrs. Gibbons really realised what was happening. And by 3 o'clock it was all over. They went down to say goodbye to June and Jennifer, and then we went out into the gardens opposite. And I think we were all pretty traumatised by it all. It was over so quickly. And the defence called one witness, and that was Dr. Hamilton from Broadmoor. There was no other witnesses called for the defence.
Hospitalization and tragedy. Broadmoor Hospital was not easy for the twins. High doses of antipsychotic medications caused health issues for the girls, and they lived there for 12 years being given this medication. In March 1993, they were set to be transferred to a lower security clinic. However, during the move, Jennifer fell unresponsive and was sadly pronounced dead from a sudden heart inflammation at just 29 years old. So very young, and so much life ahead of her. A new beginning for June. Jennifer's death was very sad. This was a very sad moment for June. However, June did begin speaking to everyone, leading to a very normal life. The story of the silent twins came to public attention thanks to a particular journalist named Marjorie Wallace. Marjorie uncovered their writings and the depth of their bond and struggles. She took a personal interest in the twins and actually developed a relationship with them. Marjorie was one of very few people that were able to develop this closeness with the twins and to get them to speak. Thanks to Marjorie, there's much more that was learned about them. Though many reports have tried to label the twins as being strange, as being weird, as being different, we have to remember these were children. These were two children. There was a reason that they developed these type of personality traits. These were not traits that were normal for children. What caused it? What led to it? We don't know. The psychiatric community has given them particular diagnoses. Whether these diagnoses are correct or not, we, the general public, don't know. But we know that these twins must have gone through some serious things in their life to allow them to resort to not speaking to individuals. So, though we may not completely understand their actions, we may not completely understand their life, let's give them grace. And let's remember that these were children. These were not adults. These were children. Children in need of help, in need of encouragement, in need of love and comfort. And thankfully, eventually they did get that. However, it took a very long time, and it was at the expense of one of the twins dying. However, Jennifer does continue to go on with her life, and she does lead a relatively normal life. We thank you so much for listening, and we ask that you will please join us for other stories. Please hit the like and subscribe and notification button so that you can be alerted when we post other interesting and fascinating stories. Until next time, everyone, please be safe. Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us and supporting our channel. If you enjoyed this story, please tap the like button below. And if you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so that you will not miss out on our future exciting stories. Until next time.